All right, are we ready?
Um, well, I don't think it matters at this point. We gotta get her done. Yeah, it's the beginning of the month. It's time for a podcast. You gotta let the folks know what's going on.
All right, welcome to the NC NICA podcast, everyone. I am Sean Moore, and as always, joining me is the North Carolina Interscholastic Cycling League Director, Brian Russell. Good morning, Brian. We
Good
are.
morning. That is a mouthful. It's in the North Carolina and it's classic cycling.
It is.
You can tell most people, I help run the North Carolina mountain bike thing.
I like NC NICA. It's like concise. It's sort of like together, but
Yeah, our merchandise provider likes it too, right? It's on all our stuff. NC NICA. Like
and I
logo
know
started prominent
I,
this season.
I know a couple of leagues did like kind of officially change their names, I think. So
Well, I mean, I'm still a little jealous of Missouri, right? Mo NICA. I mean, that's pretty. That's pretty cool.
that
Mo
is
NICA.
good. So we need to
Give me Mo
work on
NICA.
changing the name of the state first. So step one, change the name of our state.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh all right. Well, we are we're a week out from state championships. So that's sort of what we're leading up to talking about today. But I know that we do want to talk about a couple of past events, and let's start off with Danville Dash. So Danville Dash, we have our race recap video up. We talked about that last time. I don't know that it was up last time, but definitely that recap video is up, and did something a little different this time and got a lot of first person video from student athletes and really tried to kind of give the experience from their standpoint and walk through the entire course as the race progressed. So definitely something for you to check out. And
Yeah.
then,
I know we talked about Danville last time. Let me give a couple reflections on that. I think
yeah,
what you're doing, Sean, is really, really helpful from a couple perspectives. Think about going into next season. People are like, "Hey, what is this all about? What does an event look like? What is mountain biking? Like, what is the racing?" And you got something right there. And I'll think through how I get some of these things onto the website for people to find. Find a team or register to ride like that. That should probably be prominent so people have an idea what we're getting into. And then again, just from the community engagement perspective, shot a copy of that up to the hosts in Danville, who are considering investing in their trail system. And the conversation I had with them last week was about how to make it more spectator friendly. Well, technology is a way to do that sometimes. We are experimenting with the live camera feeds and the track boxes and the live results and the like. It is sometimes a hard spectator sport. Ton of kids way out in the woods, and we're doing some things to help improve that. So thanks for all your efforts, Sean, to kind of get it out there, what this thing is all about.
yeah, and I think too, like seeing the course from the student athlete perspective, like you can kind of see like the long stretches where they're really like they're just seeing a course marshal, and that course marshal is cheering them on, but it's like one person and they're just out there. But then there's other sections where they come in and there's a ton of people, so you can imagine like if you're a first time student athlete and you're by yourself for like 30 minutes and then all of a sudden you're like around a ton of people blowing horns and going crazy, and that's can be disconcerting, but it's really interesting to see it from their perspective. And one of the things I really want to point out is that there was captured on video, like it could not be more perfect, just the absolute perfect pass. And it really made me feel like we've been doing a great job with coaching our student athletes throughout the state about how to be courteous and pass and how to be a positive competitor. And it's not about just like blowing by somebody, but seeing this like communication back and forth. And then when the person passed and they said, have a good race, and then kept right on trucking. And it's like, that was absolutely, that warmed my coach's heart. So
Yeah, you could think like most of our teams could like take that clip and put it in their preseason, get-togethers and like, here you go. We're about to go practice passing. Watch this.
this is what you do. It was perfect. So definitely. And then we had the Mayhem at Mayodan. And we did that TTC work on Saturday, which I think was great because with the weather rolling in and then the weather conditions on Sunday, we had already cleared drains, like done a lot of maintenance that the trail itself had not had. And that really made it ready for the weather and what we were about to attempt on that course in the weather conditions that we had. So I know that was really good. And then we had that Sunday rain delay, and that, I think you want to speak a little bit about that kind of like flexibility that's been built into the league this year.
So I'll continue to emphasize, the importance of our Teen Trail Corps program and what it does for us. It shows communities we take care of, places we go, and like you said, Sean, it had a direct impact on our ability to conduct a race because that trail was ready to take some rain, and we were able to race on it, and we did. It was, it forecasts. It's the right word. It's a forecast. We thought Sunday would not be quite as wet, but we woke up that morning with some earlier rain and a decent amount of rain through midday. But the staff has done a good job and repeatedly in terms of dealing with changes. And we had a half day schedule built. We had kind of anticipated, hey, there might be some challenges. So was able to meet that morning with the land manager, 6:45. There we were Sunday morning. And, I look at Caesar and I go, hey, this is what it looks like. Are we okay to race on the trails and use your trails? And he gave us a thumbs up. So we went with the half day schedule, shifted all the volunteers, and thanks to everyone for dealing with that shift and just understanding it and the like. But it led to some interesting risk management discussion, Sean. That's what I wanted to share this morning because it dawned on all of us, I think, that what would you guess, Sean? Maybe 85% of our kids never really ride a wet trail because we always close them.
I would, I mean, I would hazard to say it's even higher than that because it's just not something that a lot of people do anymore because we know the damage that goes into wet trails. So it's just like a foreign thing for a
Yeah,
lot of people.
yeah. I think of a lot of our head coaches know this is like, they're doing their own version of this when the weather's crappy during the middle of the week. They're watching the radar and sometimes the decision's probably made for them. The trail manager they closed the trail. And so, yeah, we didn't have a lot of that experience. So we did do a couple course modifications to account for all that wetness. We actually got some feedback from coaches, if you remember that morning, Sean, at the head coach meetings. Hey, this section, a little concerned about that. And we took that right out.
Yep.
So I think we made some good decisions in the midst of all of that. But here's the data, and thanks to Brian Wood, Sean, he does this after every race. He looks at the injury rates and all that. That was our lowest injury rate of the entire season, less than 1%. And I think what it was is lower speeds. We briefed and we discussed, and head coaches, I'm sure, were talking to all their kids, and me, every time we get a dice situation, I'm like, put points on the board. Don't overextend yourself. Just put points on the board.
Yeah.
Get through the race. That's
Yeah.
that's good. But yeah, I think it was the lower speeds. Kids were just paying attention. They weren't going quite as fast. Speed is what gets you in trouble sometimes out on the courses. And so yeah, I think good decisions and led to our lowest injury rate of the whole entire season. So kudos to the whole league on this one for being able to pull off a race in not ideal conditions. But I tell you what, kids had fun. Every single
I
one I talked to was like, "That was great."
I I spoke to a couple of HS1 athletes, and they were just like, that was the most fun race of the season. Like, I think it was the challenge of the conditions. Just it felt like an epic experience, I think, for a lot of them, and that was very cool. So yeah.
Yep, it was a ton of smiles out there and obviously a ton of mud, and that bike wash station got a ton of use. Big long line. We're already thinking ahead to Mayodan 2.0, and not that I want any rain there, but they have a faucet on the other side of the pit zone. So I've already talked to Caesar about getting another hose on the other side of the ball field, and some more
Yeah.
opportunities to wash some bikes.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's definitely, that'll be helpful because yeah, the bikes were trashed. Like every bike I saw was trashed. Every kid was like kind of coated in various levels. Like you could see as the day progressed, like they were just getting dirtier and dirtier because of the trail conditions.
Yeah,
But
it's the one deviation I made on if everyone goes to our results page on the website, Yeah, to find pictures and the results, there's I do a thumbnail of a cool picture Deb takes and then put the results button right below that. So all the others up to this were like some shot of the race, kids racing or whatever. One Mayodan was just a muddy chain ring. It's like the iconic picture of Mayodan.
Well, and I think it's important because this is a debate that I see on some of the Western North Carolina mountain bike forums and things like that about like canceling races and weather calls and things like that. And I think the the first thing to understand is that it is no small feat for any race organizer to cancel and reschedule a race. Like that is just not um possible in a lot of contexts. Like if you look at the general racing calendar, we get it whenever we publish our events. Like here's the 6 races that we're doing, and somebody always like starts pinging us like, can you switch this date because that date is the same as this other race that we are targeting. It's impossible to set up a schedule that doesn't interfere with other races. Would you say that's a pretty accurate description?
Having tried for this season to do some deconfliction with other race organizers, it is pretty difficult. On our end, we have limited venues we can go. We have our kind of, standard ones, and we've tried some new things this year. All those other race organizers trying to find the same type of places essentially. And then, our spring schedule, we try to avoid Easter and Memorial Day, like, and then every other
Mother's
week,
Day.
kind of, yeah, every other weekend. Well, hey, moms, we're about to go into Mother's Day this weekend. Like, give me the feedback. I've heard like mixed reviews on this. Some moms is like, let's race on Mother's Day. It's a great Mother's Day. So maybe we do that next season, race on Mother's Day. But yeah, you're right. It is hard to deconflict. There are so many other things out there, I guess. It's good. It's from some sense, a lot of other opportunities to go race your bike. But yeah, it's just we can't deconflict everything.
And
Pretty
then,
difficult.
just switching over, like, we'll switch this date to this date. Like, that's just not really possible unless we built in a rain date with a rain venue. Like, I know one year we did a rain date at Mayodan that we sort of triggered because we had a cancellation. But because we're expanding the schedule of races, like, that's even kind of difficult now to do because there's just not enough time in the season to do it. So that's sort of the first thing. The second thing is, you know, uh we have to communicate with land managers, and sometimes the land managers like, no, like we don't want to have this race in these conditions. And so I think you want to kind of talk through that idea of here's how we do our weather call, because we had to cancel Fletcher, and Fletcher we had to cancel due to weather. And the natural question was, how come we can race at Mayodan, but we can't race at Fletcher? So let's kind of image our way through how that process goes.
Yeah, there were some differences between those two venues, and I think you hit the nail on the head with the landowner slash trail boss gets a pretty big vote in that decision, and sometimes that's the same person. That's Mayodan, that's Caesar, town of Mayodan, owns venue, owns trail, and then in Fletcher, a little bit different. We had both the trail builder and the landowner on the line. But let me just start with Thursday, the Thursday prior to the weekend. That morning is when we host our weather call, and we do that for a couple reasons. One, that's the last moment this staff gets everything going towards the weekend. We reserve the rental truck. Ben's going to grab the trailer, and we tell all the vendors, yeah, we're a go. And then I think for everyone else, the league, so to speak, is if you can cancel your lodging reservations, at least a little bit of time to do those things. So that's why we template Thursday. In addition to that, is the most accurate forecast we can get, given all those other logistical considerations. About 48 hours out gives us the best data to make a decision. So that's why Thursday morning is the time we do that, but we do look a little earlier in the week. Starting Monday usually is when I start paying attention to the forecast, and that's because there are a few weather conditions that we review on Thursday morning, and everyone here can find those in the NICA weather guide. One of the benefits of NICA being a longstanding organization, they have a lot of policy process and data for us to make informed decisions on. So the categories that typically come to play in the spring league we are, Sean, I'll roll through each one is rain accumulation, heavy rain, and thunderstorms. I'll put a fourth in there, and we haven't had to deal with it too much so far this season. Heat is a consideration. Sometimes it might get a little too warm to safely conduct event, but we haven't had to deal with that. But that first one, rain accumulation, is why I start paying attention to the forecast on Monday, because rain accumulation is basically the assessment of trail and venue, how much rain can it take and still be usable. From a riding on the trail perspective, it just becomes a muddy mess if it's too much rain, or as is in the case of Fletcher, those fields we were going to park on become a sloppy mess and we're getting vehicles stuck. So we got to pay attention, like how much rain throughout the week. It's not just rain on the weekend, how much rain has accumulated throughout the week so we can assess trail conditions and venue conditions. So that's one criteria we'll look at. The other one that got us in a little trouble at Fletcher was thunderstorms. Storms shut us down. And what I mean by that is lightning within 10 miles or, a storm that approaches, we have to evacuate the trails and we have to tell people to seek shelter. And that is typically your car or truck. We don't have our venues, everyone knows this, like no big buildings to go run and hide in. You got to get to your cars. And with Fletcher specifically, we were pretty certain we were going to have people off-site at overflow parking. Just we had about 3 acres of field to work with, but because everyone was so excited about a Western venue, and we saw the Western teams like come out and watch the race. It's like, ooh boy, parking's going to be full. So just your evacuation time to get a kid off the trail, get in a shuttle, get her that it's a couple hours that would have shut us down. So Thursday, on the Fletcher call had landowner and trail boss. They're getting their perspectives on rain accumulation and what it looks like for the weekend. And then several members of this league staff. So we have the course setters. They've got to set up the race course. We have Brian Wood, lead course marshal, safety perspective, race operations, race director. Hey, what is the collective thought about a safe event for this weekend? And when we looked at all the data, because we had rain both days and chances of storm both days, and there was already some rain that week. And the landowner said, yeah, I was walking the fields after that rain and they were muddy, mushy, and the like. We decided there we couldn't even pull off like a half day decent event, given all those considerations. So unfortunately, we just had to make the decision for all those other reasons. Like, let's turn the moving train off and people can make other plans come Thursday. It just didn't look like we could pull something off that weekend.
And so, you know, starting with that Monday, like you begin conversations with Elizabeth Garner, the meteorologist from WRAL TV, who kind of like advises us on weather conditions and is able to sort of interpret and give predictions of what's going on. And then Thursday, she's got a little bit clearer picture with that 48 hours and can really say, like, this is probably what's going to be happening. And then you kind of use that information to make these decisions. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely right. And thank you so much to Elizabeth for getting us some of the best data we can. I did call her Monday, same thing with landowner. Hey, what's it looking like? What are your thoughts early? And that gave us some time. We do our Monday night staff call that week prior to the race, and we start thinking about plan B. Hey, can we do this? Can we shorten the schedule? Can we do something else that gives us some time? So by Thursday, if we can conduct a half day, full, 1 day, whatever, we've got some planning that's going into that. So yeah, we do start typically Monday thinking about weather and the like.
And also, I think experience with a venue does come into play. Like we have a little bit better idea of how a venue operates and how a venue handles different things. But going into something completely new, like that's a heightened level of conservatism with this kind of weather call as well. Would you say that's fair?
So, certainly, and that's one of the Mayodan versus Fletcher distinctions. Right? Yeah, Mayodan, we've been there before, raced in the rain before. We know the trail conditions, and I would just say it is the hardest part of all this, Sean. I think is the risk decision. Like assume venue owner and trail boss said, yeah, let's do it. It's still a risk decision. Like, and that was part of it where the staff thought the challenge of the Fletcher course was the climb. And we all know that because everyone heard my heavy breathing on the course preview video. In the wet and rain, it then became the downhill. Kids like the vision had just there you go off that corner. And you and I both wrote it, what's at the bottom of that corner. It's
Yeah.
100 or, plus drop,
Yeah.
foot drop. Freak.
Plunge. The word plunge comes to mind.
There you go. Yes. So yeah, it's always both of those. And again, I think that second part is always the hardest, very subjective, like a risk decision to do a race, even in rainy conditions.
Right on. So the overall kind of picture to have is that, one, race cancellations are not something we want to do, not an easy decision to make, and there's a lot of things involved. There's a lot of moving parts, and our races are very big ships, and very big ships are very difficult to change direction or stop. And so there's lots of little checkpoints along the way that we have to kind of meet to pull off an event. Is that a pretty fair synopsis?
It is, and back to a point you had made, there are a couple different ways we can handle this. We had decided this season not to have a dedicated rain date because we had 7 events, and it's a pretty long season anyway, and you can kind of afford to drop a race, and that's exactly what we've done here. We went from a 4 of 5 to a best 3 of 4 series. Very fortunate we were able to pull off the first 4. Again, we can consider that for future seasons, building in a dedicated rain date. It's a possibility. We just decided to do that other model this season.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about the event to come. And this is kind of a new thing for us. The season showdown at Mayodan state championships, a standalone winner take all state championships. In the past, we've had the series, and the final race would get designated as a state championship race for the purposes of a point bonus to determine the series overall. But now what we've done is said, okay, we've got this series of races. It was best 4 of 5. And then with the cancellation of Danville, it became the best 3 of 4. And that's a challenge. How do you maintain consistency and high performance over multiple races? That's a series. And I like to think of it as like, that's what it's like to try and win the World Cup. Trying to win the World Cup is a very difficult thing because you have to be consistent over a lot of different courses in a lot of different places for a long period of time. And then we have this standalone state championship. And it's a lot like world championships. Like if you follow mountain bike racing at the elite level, world championships, like every now and then you get somebody who has a great day and they become world champion kind of unexpectedly. And I think Kate Courtney is a perfect example of someone who had a fantastic day and won world championships in a season that she had been getting incrementally better. But you have that standout performance, and then that set her up for a fantastic season the next year. So standalone state championships, winner take all, becomes the state champion and gets a state champion's jersey that they will be able to wear next season. Is that a fair assessment of kind of what we're going into?
It is a fair assessment. A couple of reflections. Thanks for giving the shout out to Kate Courtney, because I'll inject a little bit. This has been in NICA Communications. She has established a new She Sends Foundation, and that is sponsoring NICA directly, and this league will be a benefit of that. We just found out 2 weeks ago we'll receive a grant for our GRIT program, thanks to Kate Courtney and her foundation in relationship with NICA. So that's great. Former NICA athlete going forward, still supporting league. That's awesome. So thanks for working Kate Courtney into that. Second item is we are trying a lot of new things this season. This is one of them. I'll come back to it, but I'll just fast forwarding in our show notes or agenda. The end of season survey is coming. So give us your feedback on some of these changes we've implemented. And I do like the aspect of trying new things. And just like you said, here we go at Mayodan 2.0 season showdown. Imagine the podium ceremony where we are crowning the state champion from the one race. Like, you got to bring your good day. That's a different type of pressure, different type of competition than we're used to. So we'll crown those with distinct medals for that race. Just like you said, there will be a champion jersey for the top podium winner in each category you can carry forward into next season. But then right after that, Sean, we will crown the series winners as well. There will be a leader's jersey for the top in each category, distinctive medals for the in season and the call it whatever the slog, the intense training or whatever it was, you did the entire season will recognize that excellence as well. And so part of me is like, I just opportunities to recognize excellence in different forms in our racing program. And that's the difference. And I think it is going to be an interesting, challenge for some of the athletes to show up for the one race and, bring their best for the one race. I think it is a unique format for us. I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
It's a unique set of pressures. Think about at the elite level, there are athletes that they're racing at the World Cup level, but they're targeting world championships. And you can see that in their performances. You can see that they're not really concerned about doing well at the World Cup level. They're really targeting that build up to world championships. And it's just a different thing. And so for us, we will have some student athletes that take both the series overall and state championships. Like, they're phenomenal. And we'll have others where, they are different winners. And I think that reflects the unique challenges of both of those events. So I'm really excited about this.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of a different format for us too in terms of the entire weekend. So we're not bringing out all of the programs activities we typically have out there. This is very much a focus on racing. So Saturday, all the details are in the event flyer, and we discuss with the coaches. But it's a long day of course inspection. Come on out, take your time, get a couple laps in, really dial in your lines through. Everyone knows Maydan Rock Gardens. We do have some course changes coming. You're going to have to come out Saturday to see what those are. We're going to add in a couple new sections out there. So yeah, it's a different Saturday type of look for everyone. And then yeah, Sunday, fairly normal in terms of race schedule and the like, but we've got a couple special editions we can talk about.
Well, we're playing this one really close to our vest. Like, we are not releasing a course preview video, and we're not releasing the GPX of the course. And we even have a couple of kind of not game day, but game weekend course decisions that Todd Lester is considering. So that's why we've expanded the course inspection time, is to reflect the need for more time for student athletes to get familiar with a course that they haven't necessarily seen put together the way that they're going to see it.
Yep, absolutely. And then I'll just back to Fletcher and the cancellation. We are bringing a couple things forward in the Saturday, the Strider Bike Rodeo. So those top teams in our fundraising campaign get the opportunity to play Strider Bike games 4:30 in the afternoon on Saturday. And then we're pulling forward our senior night and senior recognition. Didn't want to, miss an opportunity to send off the seniors this season. So we'll do the senior night ride Saturday night, and Trek's bringing the posters for Sunday morning. Those will all be along the snow fence. That'll be pretty cool. So we'll send our seniors off at Season Showdown as well.
That's awesome. And another feature of this race, we are going to be awarding medals for the King of the Mountains, Queen of the Mountains segment that will be a part of this course.
Yeah, we think we've got that dialed in fairly well now. We've done kind of the beta testing, if you will, with the track boxes, and we've acknowledged those student athletes past couple races at podiums. But we're actually going to, just like I said, we're going to award. Shell made some medals for us. So top king or queen of the mountain, each category gets a medal this time on the segment we establish out there on the race course.
And a couple of things to really stress. So we're recording this Saturday. Number one, any student athlete is eligible to race state championships. That is a change from the original guidance that we gave. So we just want to stress to everyone that if you want to come race, you are welcome to come race. And second is that the deadline for registration is actually 11:59 p.m. tomorrow, May 12th. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Just like any other race of the season, Sunday registration ends, and that lets us put together all the category data and confirm the schedule for the weekend. But here's some reasons you might want to come race, and you're doing some pretty cool stuff, Sean, on here. So we are gonna live stream our finish line video to our YouTube channel, so you can see racers as they're coming across the finish line directly on our YouTube channel, which is pretty cool. So whoever, mom can't make the race or grandma, granddad want to watch part of the race, will have that streaming to our YouTube channel. That's pretty neat, Sean. So thanks for setting that up with Jeremy for this event.
And I'm working on a couple other things. I hope that I'll be able to put them into play. And we're baby steps of live streaming. So definitely if you have suggestions or you have knowledge in this area, like, we are all ears.
Yeah, and there's related to that, I think the championships becomes a platform or venue for us to introduce new things to the league, and perhaps we carry these forward into the following season. Maybe just finish line streaming is just a standard in this league. That would be pretty cool. The other reason maybe to come race is we're bringing in a company called Trek Reel. And Trek Reel is going to come in and put up to 40 cameras all along the race course and record everything. And then so you as a parent or even athlete coach can go to Trek Reel's website after the race and order a custom video of your racer. The cameras are tracking the plates. And so Trek Reel will put together a video of your race, essentially, after the race. And they'll have a tent set up there at Mayodan. They're bringing in another display screen. They will put our results on that display screen. So we'll put that right next to the results board. You can come in, you can watch the results page on there at Trek Reel, and consider getting a video of your race, your racer on there. Again, trying to do as much as we can with technology to increase kind of the spectator aspect of our races. So pretty cool capability they're bringing in for this.
And then just final reminders. So registration ends on May 12th at 11:59 p.m. And the town hall for this race will be May 15th, which is Wednesday at 8 p.m. And that will be a great way for you to hear everything that is planned, as well as kind of the parking situation, pit zone, load in, load out, all that kind of nitty gritty of here's what you need to know in order to come and be a part of the state championships. That brings us to the season Whitewater Windup. That's it. Windup.
Whitewater Windup.
And the Whitewater Windup, June 1st and 2nd. This is our end of season. It's an adventure event. There's a lot of different things that are going to be going on, but it's sort of a celebration of the end of the season. And we are kind of finishing up our choose your own adventure season 8, and we've got a lot of stuff going on at this. Saturday is going to be an orienteering ride, the mountain bike biathlon, which I'll be running. There'll be night rides and the grit end of season event. The orienteering, there will be points of kind of scattered around the trail system, and your team has to figure out like which ones they want to go for. Some are close by, some are far away. They're worth different numbers of points, and then you kind of go and collect as many as you can, and then the team with the most points sort of wins the orienteering event. Is that a pretty fair assessment of that one?
Yeah, it is. It fits right in with your choose your own adventure season theme, and it's our event theme. There's a lot to do at the Whitewater Center, and on the orienteering thing, yeah, you pick your own challenge, right? You can try and find every flag across the 30 miles of trails at the Whitewater Center. Is, now we'll just go, stick in this section and see if we can find all the flags there. So it's a nice setup. But it's not a race weekend, but no lack of competition at this one, right? Even
Yep.
biathlon, no lack of competition.
Nope.
Going on.
So The mountain bike biathlon, that is exactly what you think it is. If you are familiar with the winter sport of biathlon, which is cross country skiing and target shooting, mountain bike biathlon is substituting the mountain bike for the cross country ski portion. So there is a short course that student athletes will complete a lap on. Then they will come, they will shoot at a target station. They are using Nerf gel guns, gel pellet guns. They shoot this little water, like they come 5,000 in a bag about this big, and you dump those in water, and all of a sudden you've got a bucket full of these gel pellets, and they will be shooting at a set of 3 targets. They will have 5 shots for every 3 targets. For every target they miss, they have to do a penalty lap of a penalty lap course. So the race will be 3 laps, 3 shooting stations, and then however many penalty laps the student athlete has to complete before they finish. And we'll run that in heats. And then on Sunday, we'll do kind of a finals bracket style competition. Then on Sunday, we'll have a scavenger hunt. And the scavenger hunt will have various things hidden in the woods. I know Bill is working on a lot of different things, and I don't want to ruin the surprise of sort of what his themes are for the scavenger hunt. But these things will be scattered throughout the Whitewater Center, and we'll do the kind of final brackets of the biathlon, and then we'll have podiums. And what all podiums are you planning on holding at this event?
Good question, Sean. That's come up several times over the past month or so, and just we'll go back to Mayodan real quick because that I'll call that the end of season race podiums, right? So we'll do the championship podium, we'll do the season winners, both individuals and the teams. So the top teams in the league for the season on our race series awarded at Mayodan. And then we'll do all the other end of season awards at the Whitewater Windup. And these are all listed in the 2024 awards guidance linked on the website. But essentially, those are our Teen Trail Corps awards, our volunteer awards, our character awards, and then as well as our League Values Award. Those are the top 3 teams that we'll say perform the best across racing, Teen Trail Corps, and volunteers. You know, those are the ones with the big feather flags, just trying to recognize that kind of holistic excellence, like really being part of this league across all of those domains, if you will. We'll recognize those. And then Trek giveaway, we will announce the winners of the spring fundraising campaign right there at the Whitewater Center. You don't need to be present to win, but we'll announce who wins the bike and who wins the Fidlock prizes and who wins the Cognitive MPB prize. So thank you to all our sponsors for contributing prizes to that. This is a good reminder for folks. So at Mayodan Season Showdown, that Saturday is your last chance, teams, to bring in your paper tickets and any funds you've raised through the paper tickets. You got to hand those in at Mayodan. But the online campaign remains open until 28 May. So still time to raise some funds for your team and for the league online through 28 May. So yeah, keep spreading the word out there. It's a really good opportunity for this league to raise some funds.
All right. And that brings us kind of to the end of the season. The official end of the North Carolina NICA season is going to be June 14th or 16th.
16th, yeah, 2 weeks after last event. So I'll call that, 2 June, Whitewater Center, 2 weeks for end of season parties with teams. Sean, that a lot of teams get together one or two more times after the season. So you have through June 16th to wrap up the season.
And then beyond June 16th, there are no more team NICA anything events. Like, we are officially closed season. And that kind of brings us to the beginning of the next season. So there's no rest for the wicked. Let's see, several of us will be heading to the NICA National Conference in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and that will be June 20th through the 22nd. And then from there, we start doing our summer of venue surveys, like trying to find new places to race. And then August, we start our coach training season. And those dates will be out soon. We will be releasing kind of the registration for all of your coaches who are really chomping at the bit to get their OTBS 101, their WFA, those coaches that need to renew their WFA, like we will have all of that registration up before the end of the season, along with some other things that are going to be coming along before the end of the season as well. So you want to speak to this end of season survey that you've been mentioning?
Yeah, just encourage everyone to spend some time. Tell us essentially how we were doing this season. Mentioned we've incorporated some changes both from format, schedules, registration. Let us know what's good, what's not so good, how you would improve the not so good. Don't tell me like, hey, that didn't work, but okay, how would it work? That type of thing. Those are always helpful. So, that releases the week after Mayodan or Season Showdown closes right before our end of season. And then, yeah, I can consider that along with the staff over the couple months of the summer to set us up for next season. And then I've got the goal to get those preseason event dates and locations out by the end of the season so everyone can go in the summer thinking, okay, we've got grit and some preseason adventure events on the calendar, and that includes NICA is doing a regionals again, Eastern Regionals, 9 to 11 November up in Elkton, Maryland. And so mark your calendar. I'm supposed to have a meeting here in a few weeks with some other league directors to get some details because I think they're going to open registration for that in June. But I haven't seen the format yet, so would like to get that information out to folks. So patience, everyone. We'll let you know as soon as we have it. But yeah, I'd like to get as much information about the preseason out as possible for the end of the season. And then we use the summer to set the rest of the season. But
And
surveys helpful to do that, folks. So please spend some time.
and also we've opened up our uh, form for suggesting handbook revisions or inclusions. So rules that you feel need to be revised, or maybe there's a rule that needs to be included that you feel strongly about. There is a form that you can put that. We ask that you kind of reference the current handbook so that we can know sort of what you're talking about and what your suggestions are. And then the process for that is we put that before our league rules committee, and they kind of go through, and any that are similar, they sort of combine, take a look at, and then they decide sort of the ones that they feel they want to move forward with. And then the next process is forwarding those to NICA National, and then NICA Nationals League or NICA Nationals Rules Committee actually looks at those and says, yay or nay on including those, whether it's a change to the overall handbook or if it's a league specific rule. And that's kind of the process for that. And we will be wrapping that one up by, I believe it's the season wind down shortly thereafter. Like we need to get those in fairly quickly because we have until the end of June to take a look at those and forward them on to NICA. So kind of coming up against some deadlines with that as well.
Yeah, I think we had talked, Sean, probably last coaches call for the season after Whitewater Windup, like we've done after each event. How'd it go? I think that one probably more of a season reflections. Let coaches talk about overall season. But yeah, put that on paper if you would. Send that in to us so we can evaluate that through June and get it in on time.
And then June 4th, that Tuesday, will be our final coaches call of the season where we kind of have that reflection talk and things like that. And I think that'll be a good opportunity for us to sort of like kind of discuss the things that are moving forward in the preseason that are going to be important. And I know one of the things that is always kind of a little weird for us because it's not our race season. And I know you've gotten a little bit more information about this, but it's the NICA Eastern Regionals. And that's going to be occurring November 9th through the 11th in Maryland again. Any information you want to share about that other than just sort of like awareness?
It's a save the date at this point. Again, pending a huddle with league directors sometime in the next couple of weeks to discuss the details of that before registration opens in June. And yeah, it is. I've always said it was a great event. Went last season, and we had several athletes and families go up, and it was good. It was a nice event, but challenging for spring leagues. Right, we're not in our zone, so to speak. We're not in the groove, and it's a travel distance. It's not the ideal thing for a spring league, but a ton of fun. So I'd encourage people to go. But I would like to be able to share details before registration opens. We'll try and do that. Might be a topic for our June podcast, John. We might have the details by then.
I think so. And one last thing is I am really interested in training some more coach supporters. So if you or someone you know would like to be a coach supporter, or you feel strongly that they would make a good coach supporter, then please let me know so that I can reach out to them and begin that conversation. We'll be looking to have a training the first weekend in August 5th and 6th in Asheville for new coach supporters, because that's also our refresher course for our current coach supporters. And expanding coach supporters means expanding opportunities for more coach trainings, and we are all about that. All right. Have you got your dad joke?
I
Oh,
do,
you want to
but
add something.
no,
That's the
well,
finger of
shock-
one more
shocker.
thing. That's the
Hold on.
one more thing
Let
finger.
me let me let me put on my shock face. Yeah, oh, Brian has one more thing. Shocker. Perhaps a public service announcement just for those that do have the loaner bikes. Sean, I'm
Ah, yes.
communicate directly, but bring them to Mayodan or bring them Whitewater or whatever,
Yep.
because we're in that zone where you've ridden something for a while. Maybe it's time to all our athletes are probably like, maybe it's time for a new bike, and leverage the NICA discounts that are available. And I just sold my old bike. I found out, Sean, I was on the wrong size. Specialized has this, I'll call it weird sizing, S3, S4, S5, and I found out, I was riding S4, and what do I know? And I got the measurement at the bike shop, and oh, you're an S5. I'm like, ah, okay, all right, so I'll upgrade. So I sell my old bike, and I've got it, posted certain price, and the guy that's interested asked me, is like, hey, how low will you go on that thing? And I told him, man, probably no less than 2 miles per hour, or I'll just tip over. So there you go.
Oh man. Okay. So now you're taking a page out of my book, and it's going to be an epic journey to get to
It's
the
it's
joke.
it's all in the setup.
Well, good, because I am straightforward. I am straight to the joke this time. All right. There's two fish in a tank. One fish turns to the other fish and says, "Do you know how to drive this thing?"
That's good. Military humor always, resonates well with me, Sean. So
Exactly. All
thanks a
right.
lot. That's great.
Oh, that's terrible. All right. Well, if you made it this far, thanks to both of you. And we will see you at Mayodan.
Yeah, we'll see you at Season Showdown.